I woke up this morning and my entire town is empty. To preface this, my town has a very small population. I'm not exactly sure how many people lived here, but it was at least a couple thousand. It's the type of town you pass through on a road trip. Lots of fields and farmhouses and some neighborhoods. A lot of people in town knew each other due to how small the town is. I was home for Christmas break from college and enjoyed my stay, but I was getting ready to go back to school. Last night I packed my bags, as I only had 2 days left in my break. Last night I was sitting in the living room with my dad, drinking a beer with him while the football game was on, and shortly after I went to bed. When I woke up this morning, I did as usual. I showered, brushed my teeth, and ate some breakfast. My parents weren't home, and I figured they were at work. But when I looked at the driveway, I was confused. Their cars were still here. How would they have gotten to work without their cars? I searched the entire house and nobody was here. It was so strange, and I decided to call them. When I called my mom, I could hear a phone ring from her and my dad's bedroom. When I looked inside, I could see that both of their phones were still on the chargers. At this point, I was getting a little freaked out. Who goes somewhere without their phones? What if something bad happened? I didn't want to make a big deal out of this and call the police, so I walked over to my next door neighbor's house. My neighbor has a wife and young son, and from what I could tell, they were home as their cars were in the driveway. I knocked on the front door and asked, "Hello, is anyone home?" There was no answer. All I could hear was the sound of a few birds chirping, but other than that, it was silent. I went back inside my house and stayed at the living room window to see if the neighbor would go outside, even just to see if a car would drive down my road. There was nothing. I'm really confused as to where everyone is. I even tried to call one of my friends who lives in town, and all I got was ringing and eventually voicemail. Around noon I decided that I should go fill my car up on gas. I figured that my parents might be home by the time I got back. I grabbed my keys and put on my winter coat. When I was driving, I noticed that there were no cars on the road. Not a single car, as if everyone had decided to stay inside today. I looked at the parking lot at Walmart and saw that it was completely empty. It felt so surreal, like I was in a dream. I pulled into the gas station and started filling up my car. There was silence, nothing but the sound of the wind and the gas filling up my tank. I had a feeling that I was being watched. You probably know the feeling. You're alone in your house or in a room and you get that feeling. "Hello," I shouted, but there was no answer, just the echo of my voice. When I turned around, I could see an old woman watching me from across the street. I could tell that she was an older woman because she was holding a cane. "Hello, miss, do you know where everyone is?" I asked. The old woman didn't respond. "Miss," I asked as I stepped away from my car. "Everyone being gone is kind of freaking me out," I said awkwardly and chuckled afterwards. Finally, the old woman reacted. She stuck her arm up and pointed at me, her mouth open, and from what I could tell, there was not a single tooth in her mouth. The old woman let out a scratchy scream, as if her throat was dry and she hadn't drank any water all day. I panicked and started backing away towards my car. "Sorry, miss, I'll leave you alone now." The old woman kept making that awful screaming noise and started walking across the road to my car. I dashed for my car, taking out the gas pump and hopping in, driving away as I could hear the old woman still screaming behind me. I ran throughout my house and found that my parents were still not home. There was no noise, aside from the radiator and the creaking from the wooden floorboards. It's now the late evening, and I'm writing this. I have no idea what to do. I'm terrified of what happened at the gas station today. I've never seen that old woman before, and I don't understand what's wrong with her. Why was she still here when everyone is apparently gone? Her toothless face will forever burn in my mind. Could I please get some advice of what to do tomorrow? A part of me doesn't want to sleep. I'm afraid that I'll see that old woman's face outside my window. But I need my sleep. While I was sleeping tonight, I woke up to the sound of crashing glass. I sprang out of bed. I didn't know who or what was outside or inside. I quickly grabbed a sweatshirt and tossed it on, not wanting to be exposed. I opened my bedroom door and downstairs. It was quiet, not a single noise. I walked downstairs to see what could have made that crash. On the dining room floor was broken glass, and the window was broken. Cool air was flooding in. From behind me, I could hear a faint cackling, like the sound of an old woman laughing. I turned to see the old woman from earlier today, wearing a nightgown. I could feel the goosebumps on my arms begin to rise. Miss," I asked with a shaky voice. The old woman began to scream, the same way she did earlier today. She charged me and jumped on top of me, her fists flailing as she smacked me over and over again in my face. "Blood," she finally screamed in her low, scratchy voice. "We want blood," she screamed. I started screaming, struggling to get her off of me. I tossed the old woman off of me to the floor. I grabbed my car keys and fled my house. The woman continued to run after me. I'm still in my car right now. I have no idea what to do, where to go. I'll update you all to the part 2 tomorrow. For now, I need to get as far away from that woman as possible.